There is something almost no one says out loud, but almost every man feels it. The moment your value drops in his eyes, the whole connection can change before a single word is spoken. The scary part is that it rarely happens in one big dramatic scene. It happens quietly, in a text you send too fast, in a standard you let slide, in the moment you forget who you are just to keep someone close. And once that shift happens, it can be hard to pull the energy back. He becomes a little colder, you become a little more unsure. The spark that once felt easy starts turning into confusion, second-guessing, and emotional exhaustion. So today we are going deep into the small things that slowly weaken your value in front of a man, even when your heart is pure and your intentions are real. This is not about playing games. It is not about acting cold. And it is definitely not about becoming someone fake just to keep attention. It is about learning how to stay rooted in yourself, so your love never turns into self-loss. If you have ever felt like you gave your best and still ended up overlooked, stay with me, because what comes next could change the way you show up in love forever. And trust me, the last part may be the one you need most. Most people think attraction is built on looks, chemistry, or saying the perfect thing at the perfect time. But real attraction goes deeper than that. A man may notice beauty first, yes, but what keeps him pulled in is the emotional experience he has around you. It is the feeling, it is the energy, it is the quiet sense that being near you wakes something up inside him. Men are often drawn to women who make them feel both alive and settled at the same time, not controlled, not babysat, not managed, just inspired. That kind of pull does not come from trying too hard, it comes from a woman who knows herself, a woman who is not begging to be chosen because she already lives like her life matters. That changes everything. A grounded woman does not need to prove she is enough. She does not rush to audition for a role in someone else's life. She lets her presence speak. She lets her standards speak. She lets her pace speak. And that makes a man feel that being close to her is something meaningful, not something automatic. That is why neediness, emotional chaos, and over-availability can quietly weaken attraction, even when the woman is kind, smart, and beautiful. Desire is not fed by desperation. It is fed by energy, effort, curiosity, and emotional contrast. A strong connection grows when both people are bringing something real, not when one person is overworking to hold the whole thing together. Keep listening, because this first mistake ruins more potential than most people realize. One of the fastest ways a woman lowers her value without meaning to is by giving too much too soon. It often looks sweet. It looks caring, it looks like affection. You like him, so you start showing up big. You check on him constantly. You send long, thoughtful messages. You make room for him in your schedule before he has truly earned that space. You comfort him, support him, maybe even start solving problems he never asked you to solve. You give your softness, your time, your emotional energy, your attention, and sometimes even your loyalty before he has shown you consistency. It feels generous. But the deeper truth is this: you are investing before you have enough evidence. That changes the balance. Instead of allowing him to step forward and reveal his level of effort, you rush in and carry the emotional weight yourself. The result is subtle but powerful. He starts receiving more than he is giving. He gets used to your presence before he has worked for it. He enjoys the benefits without building the discipline to deserve them. And once that happens, the dynamic can go flat. Not because you are too loving, but because love offered without discernment can be mistaken for easy. A healthy man values what feels meaningful, not what feels instantly available at full volume. Give, yes, but give slowly. Give with awareness. Let care unfold instead of flooding the connection at the beginning. Real intimacy is built layer by layer. If you pour everything out on day one, there is no room left for him to lean in, to discover, to earn, to rise. A lot of women overgive early because deep down they are afraid that if they do not, the man will lose interest. So they try to be unforgettable by being extra available, extra understanding, extra supportive, extra patient. But here is the painful twist. The more you give from fear, the less valuable that giving feels. Because fear has a scent. It changes the energy behind the action. It turns kindness into overcompensation. It turns generosity into silent bargaining. It becomes, if I do enough, maybe he will choose me. And that feeling can be sensed even when nothing is said. A woman with strong value does not give to secure a spot. She gives because the connection is mutual and because the man has shown he can hold what she offers. She does not rush to offer girlfriend energy to a man who is still acting like a stranger with potential. She watches, she listens, she notices patterns. Is he consistent? Is he intentional? Does he make effort when it is not convenient? Does he show care in ways that cost him something too? Those questions matter, because if he is not matching your energy, then your giving is not building love. It is building imbalance. And imbalance always collects interest. Later it becomes resentment, burnout, confusion, and the painful feeling that you gave so much and still were not valued. That is why wisdom is attractive. Restraint is attractive. Pace is attractive. Not coldness, not games, just emotional self-respect. And if this is hitting home already, stay with me. Because the next pattern is even more common and even more dangerous when it hides behind the need to feel secure. Another silent way value starts slipping is through constant reassurance seeking. It may sound harmless. It may even sound honest. Do you still like me? Are we okay? Why did you seem different today? Did I do something wrong? Why did it take so long to text back? On the surface, these questions can look like simple check-ins. But when they happen again and again, they reveal something deeper. They show that your inner peace depends on his response. And that creates pressure. A relationship starts to revolve around managing your anxiety instead of enjoying the connection. The issue is not having emotions. The issue is when fear starts driving the conversation. When every shift in tone becomes a crisis. When every delay feels like rejection, when every silence becomes a story in your head, that energy drains attraction because it places him in the role of emotional regulator instead of equal partner. He starts feeling responsible for stabilizing feelings that you have not yet learned to hold on your own. And the more often that happens, the more the polarity fades. Confidence is magnetic, not because it is loud, but because it feels safe. A grounded woman can feel uncertainty without collapsing into it. She can notice a change without chasing immediate comfort. She can ask for clarity when needed, but she does not interrogate every moment for proof that she is still wanted. That difference matters. One comes from self-trust. The other comes from fear of loss. And fear of loss, when repeated too often, slowly becomes the very thing that creates distance. Most reassurance seeking is not random. It usually grows from old pain. Maybe you were ignored before. Maybe someone switched up on you without warning. Maybe you were lied to, left in confusion, or made to feel like your sensitivity was a burden. So now your nervous system reacts quickly. Silence feels dangerous. Change feels threatening. You look for signs. You search for certainty. And while that reaction makes sense if it stays unhealed, it follows you into every new connection and makes every man pay for wounds he did not create. That is why the real work is not just getting more answers from him. The real work is becoming someone who can hold herself through uncertainty. That does not mean acting unbothered. It means becoming emotionally steady. If something feels off, breathe first, observe first, let the moment reveal itself before you flood it with panic. See the difference between intuition and anxiety. One is clear, the other is loud. One guides, the other grabs. A woman with self-respect does not deny her feelings, but she also does not let fear grab the steering wheel. She can say, something felt different. I want to understand it. without turning it into a spiral. She can have a direct conversation without begging for emotional oxygen. That is powerful, that is mature, that is the kind of energy that draws respect. And remember this, because it matters more than people think. Reassurance feels good for a moment, but self-trust changes your whole life. And what comes next may be the pattern that breaks even strong women when they do not catch it early. It is easy to lose yourself when someone new enters your life and the connection feels exciting. You want to talk more, you want to see him more, you want to keep the momentum going. That part is natural. But the danger begins when your world starts shrinking around him. You stop making time for friends. You push your routines aside. You let your plans depend on his availability. You feel disappointed all day because he did not text the way you hoped. Your mood starts rising and falling with his attention. Little by little, without meaning to, you make him the center of your emotional world. And that is where value begins to drop. Not because caring is wrong, but because self-erasure never creates healthy attraction. A strong man is not deeply pulled in by a woman who disappears into him. He is drawn to a woman who remains fully alive in her own life. A woman who has rhythm, purpose, standards, joy, and direction with or without him. When your whole emotional weather system depends on one person, you stop feeling free. You stop feeling powerful. You become reactive. You wait. You monitor. You adjust. And that shift is felt. Even if he cannot explain it, he senses that your center of gravity has moved from your own life to his. What once felt magnetic now starts to feel heavy. Not because you love too much, but because you have stopped standing in your own space. Stay here, because this part changes the whole dating dynamic. The most unforgettable women are not the ones who make a man their whole story. They are the ones who let him join a story that was already moving. Their life does not pause while they wait to be chosen. They keep building, they keep laughing with their people, they keep protecting their mornings, their goals, their peace, and the little rituals that make them feel like themselves. They do not punish a man for having a life, and they do not abandon their own life to prove devotion. That balance creates respect. When he sees that your happiness is not hanging by the thread of his attention, he feels your value more deeply. He realizes your presence is not guaranteed, not because you are playing hard to get, but because you actually have a life that matters to you. And that is attractive in a way no performance can fake. It tells him, I can care for you deeply, but I will not leave myself to do it. That message is powerful. It turns chasing into choosing. It turns fear into calm. It turns dependence into connection. If you have ever felt yourself disappearing inside a relationship, this is your reminder. Love should expand you, not reduce you. A good relationship gives you more room to become yourself, not less. So keep your world alive. Let your joy stay active. Let your schedule still belong to you. Let your identity stay intact. Because the woman who stays connected to herself is the woman who can love well without becoming lost. And now we come to the mistake that can quietly damage everything if it is ignored for too long. Nothing drains your value faster than ignoring your own standards and boundaries, just to keep a connection alive. It usually does not begin with something huge. It begins with little compromises. You let a disrespectful comment slide. You accept mixed signals. You act like last-minute effort is enough. You say yes when you wanted to say no. You tolerate things that do not feel right because you do not want to come across as difficult, demanding, or too much. But every time you do that, something important happens inside you. You teach yourself that your comfort is negotiable. You teach yourself that your peace comes second. You teach yourself that being kept matters more than being respected. And once that pattern starts, self-doubt grows fast. You question your instincts. You talk yourself out of your own truth. You stay in situations that chip away at your confidence because you are more afraid of losing him than losing yourself. But here is the truth. Standards are not drama. Boundaries are not punishment. They are self-respect in action. They are the visible form of inner value. They tell people how they can meet you. They tell you what you are no longer willing to betray within yourself. A woman who has standards is not cold. She is clear. A woman who has boundaries is not difficult. She is safe with herself. And men do notice this. They may test it, yes, but when they see that your standards move every time you fear losing them, respect begins to weaken, even if the relationship continues for a while. A woman with self-honor does not scream her boundaries. She does not turn them into speeches every week. She lives them calmly, clearly, consistently. She knows what kind of communication she accepts. She knows what kind of effort matters to her. She knows what kind of behavior makes her feel secure and what kind makes her pull back. And if something crosses that line, she does not twist herself into confusion trying to explain away what her spirit already knows. She responds. She adjusts. If needed, she leaves. That is strength. And contrary to what fear tells you, strong standards do not push away the right man. They reveal him. A good man does not resent clarity. He respects it. He may even feel relief in it because he knows where the ground is. The ones who run from your boundaries are usually the ones who benefited from your lack of them. So stop calling self-abandonment love. Stop calling anxiety chemistry. Stop calling inconsistency potential. Some connections look promising only because you keep using your hope to cover what reality is clearly showing you. This is your sign to stop doing that. If something does not sit right, listen. If someone keeps asking you to betray yourself in little ways, pay attention. The right relationship will not require you to become smaller just to stay in it. And if you are still watching, this next part is where everything turns from pain into power. At some point, real change begins when you stop asking, how do I keep his attention? And start asking, how do I keep myself? That question changes everything. Because love was never supposed to cost you your center. It was never meant to make you audition, overperform, over-explain, overgive, or accept less than what feels honest and healthy. Real love does not ask you to collapse. It asks you to stay awake. It asks you to stay aligned with your truth, even when feelings get strong. Reclaiming your power is not about becoming cold or detached. It is about becoming unavailable for anything that requires self-betrayal. It is about remembering that your worth is not built by someone else's attention. It does not go up when you are chosen. It does not go down when someone pulls away. Your worth is constant. The real shift is learning to act like you believe that. Some days that looks strong. Some days it looks quiet. Sometimes it looks like not sending the text you know comes from panic. Sometimes it looks like saying no to late effort. Sometimes it looks like leaving a connection that keeps asking you to question your value. And yes, sometimes it hurts. But pain that protects your future is different from pain that repeats your past. One heals, the other traps. So choose the pain that frees you. Choose the discomfort that builds your self-respect back. Because once you stop betraying yourself for love, your whole energy changes. And people can feel that before you even say a word. The women who create healthy love are not perfect women. They are honest women. Women who do the inner work. Women who notice their patterns and refuse to keep calling the same wound their type. Women who know that softness is beautiful, but softness without boundaries gets exploited. Women who understand that standards are not there to make life harder, but to make peace possible. They know that being loving does not mean being endlessly available. They know that wanting a relationship does not mean centering a man above their own peace. They know that emotional openness does not require emotional instability. And they know that being chosen by the wrong person is not a win. So if this speaks to you, let it sink in deeply. You do not need to give more to be worthy. You do not need to chase clarity every time fear rises. You do not need to make a man your world to be loved well. And you never need to lower your standards just to avoid being alone. The right connection will not ask you to starve your soul in order to keep it. It will meet you in truth. It will respect your pace. It will value your presence. And until that kind of love arrives, choose yourself so fully that anything less becomes impossible to entertain. That is where your power lives. Quiet, steady, unmistakable. So from this moment on, move differently, love differently, protect your energy differently. And if you are ready for that shift, take this with you. You are not here to beg for love. You are here to recognize it, receive it, and never trade yourself to keep it.